I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address, and now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. They're fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, whoops, sorry. Let me go here. Hey guys. So yeah. First of all, thank you guys. Yeah, obviously I haven't been well the last few days, and we're gonna do a live tonight. And I was just trying to have a nap actually, and then I heard the phone go off or my messenger go off, and it was Adam. And I'm like, dude, why do you always call me when I'm taking a nap? He's like, the verdict's in. So I'm like, okay, well, you want to do a live? And I was kind of watching it, waiting for him to reply. And he's going to be joining us in a second. And yeah, I mean, the verdict was quick. When I was watching the closing arguments, kind of what I had said the other day. I said my answer was going to be guilty, and I'm sticking to it. And when I was watching the closing arguments, I was like, yeah, he's going to be found guilty. There's just common sense to any human being knows that he was lying, knows that he was there. Just too many lies. The guy just lies, and lies. And anyways, so yeah, I'm going to play the part there where they're going to call the jury in. And I know that they've deliberated until tomorrow morning for the rest of it, and which is nice. I'm glad that they're doing it tomorrow, and I'm glad that lady got her 12 dozen eggs that they excused from the juror today. And you guys know the other day too that Buster Murdaugh was caught, or said to have been caught, flipping off of a juror, not a juror, sorry. That one guy that was on the stand or whatever. But anyways, so let's watch that part, okay, guys? And then we'll get into talking about it. And so let me just put this on mute, or I'll put me on mute, and I'll just play this.
Wow. That's what I heard happened. So no dinner for the jurors. They are, I guess, not costing the taxpayers of Colleton County any more meals. So there you have it. No dinner for the jurors. They were ready to wrap it up. I was somewhat surprised only because, I felt like looking at these jurors today, and I hate reading people's faces. Some of them were wearing COVID masks. We had the juror that we think the defense liked, getting kicked off the jury, taking her dozen eggs and her belongings with her. And I was looking at them and they were paying attention to both sides, but there were a couple that would at points go, like this, like enough already, I'm done. And we know they asked for a monitor, of course, they want to look at exhibits possibly. Maybe there were a couple of points of contention or argument. So it's very interesting. And, I've been saying for a long time, I don't think, or at least a couple of weeks, that I didn't think this would be a not guilty, a unanimous not guilty. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I thought it would either be guilty or hung jury. We have a verdict. So I could be dead wrong, but
Be seated.
I understand that there is a verdict. You may bring the jury. Thank you. Madam Forelady, if you'll stand for me. Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, sir, we have.
Is it unanimous?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, if you will pass it up to the clerk, who will pass it to me. And you may be seated. The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict, starting with the back, not with the, let's see, I'll tell you again. Starting with the back, flipping them over one by one. State of South Carolina versus.
Docket number 2022 GS 15-00592, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions in the term of 2022, July, the State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Okay. Guilty verdict, signed by the forelady, 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS 15-00593. The State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions, the July term of 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116, verdict guilty, signed by the forelady, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS 15-00595, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, SC Code -16-23-0490, CDR Code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS 15-00594, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, SC Code 16-23-0490, CDR Code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, 3/2/23.
Thank you. Madam Forelady and members of the jury, if that is the verdict of each and every juror, please let it be known by raising your right hands. All right, thank you. Any individual polling requested? Madam Clerk, you'll need to individually poll the jury according to their juror numbers.
Number 193. Was this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 254,
Yes.
is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 326, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 530, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 544,
Yes.
was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 572, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 578, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 589, was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 630, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 729, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 826, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 864, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Your Honor, the jury has been polled.
Thank you. The jury has been polled and the verdict is a unanimous verdict. If you will bring the alternate juror out and have her have a seat in the audience, please. You can stand there or you can sit back there, whatever you prefer. Okay. Are there any post-trial motions?
From the state, Your Honor.
We would just renew our previously argued motions for directed verdict, and at this, on the grounds, on those grounds, we would make a motion for a mistrial and to set aside the verdict.
By the state, response.
Your Honor, based on our previous arguments, we would submit that the case properly went to the jury and the verdict is proper, and would rely on those arguments.
We've been here now 28 days, first few days of jury selection and the remainder receiving testimony, an overwhelming amount of testimony and evidence that was presented to the jury for the jury's consideration. As I indicated to the jury during the jury charge, or the charge on the law, that this was a matter solely for the jury to determine. The court found at the end of the state's case that there's sufficient evidence to find the defendant guilty if the evidence was believed by the jury. Likewise, at the end of the defense's case, when the motion was renewed, the court found that the evidence was sufficient for the jury to find the defendant guilty. The jury has now considered the evidence for a significant period of time, and the evidence of guilt is overwhelming, and I deny the motion. Mr. Murdaugh, you now having been found guilty of 2 counts of murder involving your wife and your son, 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, the burden now comes upon the court to impose a sentence. Given the lateness of the hour and the victim's rights that must be taken into consideration and complied with under the Victim's Bill of Rights, and consider what I would anticipate to be a number of people who might have something to say regarding sentencing, we will defer sentencing to a later date. Of course, the minimum sentence for murder is 30 years. The maximum sentence is life imprisonment as to each count. And on the weapons charge, the sentence is up to 5 years or 5 years, which has to be concurrent if a life sentence is imposed. When would you all like to reconvene for sentencing? I would like to give everyone an adequate opportunity to prepare for it.
State will be ready at 9:30 in the morning, Your Honor.
We could do it at 9:30 tomorrow morning also.
All right. The defendant is remanded to the custody of the Colleton County Sheriff's Department. And he may be taken away. Madam Floor Lady and members of the jury, I want to thank you on behalf of the citizens of the state of South Carolina and your fellow citizens of Colleton County. You did not volunteer for this service. You were called upon by being summoned to appear, and Providence have brought you to this moment in time and these weeks in time. I know that all of you have been here at great sacrifice, particularly the juror whose job was on the line until a miracle happened, I guess, that allowed him to be able to leave rather than leave after 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to thank each one of you all individually and collectively. It's not often that you're called upon to sit in judgment of the actions of your fellow man, but you all responded and gave due consideration to the evidence. I will make no comment now as to the extent or the overwhelming nature of the evidence, but certainly the verdict that you've reached is supported by the evidence, circumstantial evidence, direct evidence, all of the evidence pointing to only one conclusion. That's the conclusion that you all reached. So I applaud you all for, as a group and as a unit and individually, evaluating the evidence and coming to a proper conclusion as you saw the law, as you saw the facts. Now that you've served for the next year, you're not eligible to serve again. Now, of course, many people never get called upon, but you're not eligible for the next year, and for 2 additional years, you can be exempted from service because no person is required.
I'm gonna stop it there, because that's pretty much all we needed to know. I know that pretty much everyone watching right now felt that he was guilty, but whether or not it was going to be a hung jury or not, doesn't it kind of make you laugh though that they panned over to the jury?
It did. It surprised me a little bit.
That should have been edited. But yeah, the jury's not supposed to be shown, and yet they panned over to the jury on this front. But at the end of the day, and you can tell that the judge obviously felt the same way. I mean, it's like he was saying it through the jury, but he also felt that they came to the right conclusion. And I think that everyone probably, I mean, how many people in here just, I don't know, one, if you thought he was not guilty, two, if you believed he was guilty the whole time. Doesn't even matter about the hung jury part, to be honest. Is there anyone in here that thought he was not guilty? Yeah, 3 hours was definitely, yeah. What are your thoughts, Adam?
I mean, I said from the get go that I really thought that this was either going to be a hung jury, and that it would take a while for the verdict to come back, unless the jurors were just over it and ready to go home. And in that case, I thought they would find him guilty, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows what happened, what's going on with your internet?
Oh, yeah. So my internet's out, and so I'm at the lake. Or I'm at the lake this weekend. So my background looks different because I'm not at home.
Yeah, yeah. Adam's whatever's going on with his internet at home or whatever. Yeah. So yeah. So you're at the lake. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Whenever a jury comes back right away, that it's just a matter of guilt. Now, I didn't really see any tears coming out of his eyes then, did you?
None whatsoever.
None, yeah. Alexa was going to be joining us, and she might still come on the next live if she had time. She does have to travel, but she was going to join us because I know Alexa's been, down a little bit with trying to get her travels figured out, plus with sickness as well and stuff like that. And so, I didn't really want to bother her, even though because she's a body language expert as well. I was going to have her talk. I mean, she still can actually, but talk about Alex Murdaugh's, body language that he was doing because he was doing these crocodile type faces and tears whenever Maggie and Paul were talked about. And it's one of those things is that when I say that they were genuine, I'll say that they were probably genuine tears of what he knows that he did. Right. And every time he hears Maggie or Paul, that he has to relive that moment in his head every single time that he's hearing it because he knows what happened.
Oh, absolutely.
He was there, but do I think probably there's regret for what he did? Absolutely. I feel like there is that regret. So I feel like those emotions are more of a regret and he has to live with those images in his head. But I don't feel like it's for the fact of his innocence by no means.
When he's a major self-soother. I mean, you notice like when he does this all the time, like when he would sit in court, he would rock and he would almost kind of cross his arms and he would close his body in. I'm not a body language expert, but I have picked up that from hearing body language experts talk about suspects. And Alex Murdaugh displayed classic examples to me of someone that self-soothes and just, does this all the time.
I think that Alex Murdaugh is like he's not an actor, but he's acting like he's an actor, like he's doing these things on purpose. It's kind of like even when he was on Stand to me, I'm like, are you a lawyer or are you a baby? Because you're kind of talking like you're a baby somewhat, You couldn't help but notice, of course, Buster, being shown there on the screen as well. And again, regardless of anything that anyone thinks of Buster Murdaugh or whatever, he is a victim in all of this. He literally has lost his mom, his brother, his dad, and his dad. Even though his dad's alive still, thing is that it's almost like you could feel almost like everything was flashing before him. as he's sitting there listening to the verdict of guilty. And I just felt like this flash of his entire life of everything is just flashing before his eyes. And, I can't feel nothing but sympathy for Buster, for basically it's like his whole family being wiped out, and all that changed. And now I'm not sure where he's living, if he's living with his uncle there or not. Or
Buster's living with, he has an apartment in Columbia, and his girlfriend lives in Rock Hill. So I think he goes back and forth between them, which one's about 2 hours away and one's about like an hour away.
Yeah. You know what? I'm personally really glad that the jury came back so fast. Like I said,
Prepared.
What'd you say?
I wasn't prepared. Because I knew we were doing this tonight at 9:30, so I was like, so I hadn't set up my iPad or my light or anything yet. So I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know. Like I said, I was telling people, like, I was just sitting there. I was literally trying to take a nap because preparing for tonight's live in a sense. And then all of a sudden I'm like, let me answer it. I bet it's Adam calling me. And I look and it's Adam and I'm thinking, oh, dude, you call me just as I'm literally trying to nap. And then all of a sudden you're like, verdict is in. And I'm like, okay, never went so fast to my computer as I did. And I was like, okay, do we do a live? Do we not? Do we do a live? Do we not? And whatever. Okay, let's do a live. Because I was kind of listening to it as I was waiting for you to answer me back, and then I was like, just kind of listening to it, and I was like, oh well. I mean, they're reading the whole verdict right here. It's coming to an end, but then I thought, okay, well, let's do the live regardless, because I'm sure that there's a ton of people watching that the whole verdict and are ecstatic for the verdict answer. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah, and juror 254, that was the alternate one for the Missy with the egg thing.
That was hilarious. The eggs this morning.
Yeah, and the thing was, okay, you know what made me laugh about that was that the eggs were actually that to eat, like hard-boiled eggs for the jurors for lunchtime or whatever. And then the judge says, like, okay, well, do you want the eggs back? And the juror obviously, she said, yep. No eggs for the other 12 jurors anymore. So I'm just like, really?
So my understanding was that one of the other jurors brought in a dozen eggs for each of the other jurors.
She did.
Yeah, but I don't think they were hard boiled. I think they were just from their farm.
Oh, I don't know. I thought that they said that they were for like lunch or something like that.
No, I think they were just brought in because if you have chickens, you end up with a lot of eggs.
Yeah, here maybe they're not hard boiled, but I'm like, okay, so what? Here you go, each juror. Here's one egg from my farm. Now, if it was hard boiled, that'd be a different story.
I bet they're probably all going home with a dozen eggs tonight.
No, Mustang, you guys, everyone that's in here watching now, thank you. I hope Alex takes this chance to voice for the opiate issues, how drugs changed their frontal lobe and allowed him to act in impulsive ways to annihilate his. Yeah, do you feel like that the substance abuse contributed to what happened that day? Like, my gut feeling is yes. That
I'm not. I mean, I don't. I'm not a professional, so I mean,
there's nothing.
I mean, my gut would tell me it has to affect your decision making in every way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like, right. I mean, like I said, we're not pros on substance abuse issues and stuff like that, but I mean, just by our own our observations.
Yeah, clearly, you see, none of us abuse substance as well, by the looks of us when we do have drink.
Yeah. But I think that if so, I kind of think that played into it. I don't think under normal circumstances that this would have happened, but I think that that probably played into it. Like, people can become totally different people, whether they're drinking or substance abuse. It's almost like having a Jekyll and a Hyde personality. I've definitely seen it happen, on both extents of people that I've known in my life that have substance abused or, alcohol abuse. And it's like 1 minute they're this way, put some alcohol into them, and it's like, who are you? And it always floors me. I'm not going to lie. It always floors me how someone's personality just like a Jekyll and Hyde in front of me. I can't see Alex helping anyone unless it benefits him. Very self-serving person.
Right.
Very, like, he lied and lied and lied. That's what always got me, is when the prosecution is like, I mean, he's pretty much lied about everything, but he's telling the truth about this at the kennels? No, dude, because he's lying. Like, they literally proved over and over again that he just lies and lies and lies. So even that Alex is admitting to lying, because he has to admit to it, because he's caught red-handed in the cookie jar with the money and all that stuff. He's caught red-handed being at the kennels. And then he adds to his story, and he just lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. So that's, to me, is why common sense kicks in, and that he has no credibility whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah. 1 second. Husband's here. Do you need me, honey? Oh, no. I don't think he needs me. Okay. Bass girl. I'm surprised it came.
Bass girl.
I know. I have,
remember guitar.
I know. And now I think of fish at the same time. And then see Ray Jones, he's a fisherman. And then you see bass, but it's bass. And I totally forget about that sometimes. But I'm really glad that it was that fast. He's a total narcissist, absolutely.
Can you imagine having sat there? I mean, I did kind of watch it every day for 6 weeks, but like, can you imagine being one of those jurors and just sitting there every day for 6 weeks when you thought it was going to be a 3-week trial, and like they sat through weeks of hearing just financial analyst after financial analyst, and I'm like, I would be like, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel.
Many times I've thought this while I've been watching the trial, and when I say watching the trial, it's pretty much when Alex Murdaugh got on the stand. That was my in-depth into it when I started paying attention to it, because including Adam, he thought that it was interesting, and I'm like, it hasn't piqued my interest yet. Oops, wait, Alex is going on the stand. It piqued my interest, but all I could think about was, I could not sit there without a sore back, being those, doesn't matter who's in that courtroom. All I keep thinking about is, how can they just sit there for 8 hours pretty much, besides lunch breaks, and just sit in those godforsaken hard seats, and day after day. Oh my goodness. All I could think about was the sore backs that were happening. You know how you just get restless, and you're just like, and
like when we sit here for 8 hours.
We're usually in more softer chairs. and you see the guy little steno typing away.
Yeah.
And he's just like, his little shorthand there, and the lady with the muzzle on her mouth always. That always seems so weird when I see that she's talking through this funnel thing.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But anyways, I was like, yeah. I mean, it was a lot shorter than I think the O.J. Simpson trial, because that one seemed to go on forever.
That was like 6 months, wasn't it?
Oh, that one was forever.
I believe it was 6 months.
In the first 2 hours. That's why I turned off Court TV at the 2-hour mark. Well, Adam let me know, because I was clearly taking a nap. And because to be honest with you, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to come back today. In all fairness.
Jeff, they deliberated under 3 hours.
Mm.
And Grandma watches. If you're referring to Buster, yes, he did.
Yeah, there was I think there was they have this, hold on, let me see if I have it. Video. Um oh no, it's in my other thing. Cancel. It's in my Filmora. Yeah, I'll show it later. Uh, I'll show it later on the live
Right.
after
Yes,
this.
we'll be back at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight.
Yeah.
It's funny that wall looks purple behind me, sorry.
Oh, does it? It's like a blue purple.
Yeah.
Yeah. On there, but yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say, really, to be honest with you. We're going to be doing a live in an hour and a half time. Lewis should be joining us. Alexis should probably be able to pop on as well. And we'll be talking about this case and, well, lots of things, to be honest with you. Obviously, the Koberger, more of the affidavit had come down for that. The Delphi Stevenson case as well, and Ray Hanish and Garrett Kurtz. Talk about Paladinos. Talk about a lot of things, actually. So, yeah, with that said, I think we're going to call this live, bring an end to this live here, because the next live is literally in an hour and a half anyway.
Right.
And I need to do some things and prepare for that still. So I didn't really get my nap in. And okay, so it's okay. So as for anyone, thank you, Lacey. As for anyone that does, I hate to say this, that does wonder about how I'm doing. The other night, what happens a couple times now, 3 times to be exact, is that when I was on that live, my stomach just seized up, and it's done it a couple times, and it's almost like instantaneously when it seizes up, it literally cramps over so bad that the pain is so unbearable that I literally, for the next 30, 40 minutes, like, I'm begging my husband to help stop the pain, because it's just so ridiculously painful. I don't know what's causing it, to be honest. I got to go to get my doctor to figure that out. So that was a horrific night. The next day, yesterday, was just a ton of pain as well, but it backed off a little bit. My gallbladder exploded a few years ago, but my gallbladder's not been taken out. Could very much well be that, something to do with that now, because the doctor never took it out. He said if it ever starts causing you pain, so perhaps so. So yesterday too, I had a hard time sleeping, because I don't know how to explain it, but if this is your stomach, it's pain around the whole thing, and it's like someone's clamping down, and it's just horrific pain. So anyways, it's quite subsided today. I can actually sit down. Very painful. I just feel very hot and warm right now, and with more like minor pain in my stomach. But I've been taking Advil and that stuff. So anyways, so sorry that I did have to leave that live. Unfortunately, it did happen during the live. But I was in so much pain that I couldn't stand to stay anymore. So anyways, thank you guys for asking about that. And like I said, I'll have to see what the doctor says. Hopefully next week I'll get in to see the doctor there once I get my samples, because I need them to have that first. Anyways, you guys, I saw you playing in another way. Oh, Ray. They will entertain you. But anyways, you guys, we will see you in just a little under an hour and a half here. So if there's anything else you need to say, Adam.
I mean, just for Miss Dog Lover, that says, "Oh my, that was quick." That's what she said.
That's what she said. Yeah. And so thank you guys. Thank you, Jeff, and everyone else that was sending me message saying that I hope you're feeling better. Grizz, Prismatically Clever. There was lots of people that were sending me messages in Messenger and stuff, and on the board. So I just want to say thank you. I feel I don't really like talking about myself, but that way, but but thank you guys. Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll see you in just a little bit time, and it will be like I said, it will be something burger about a lot of stuff in the next live. So we'll see you then. You guys take care, and we'll see you in just a bit.
In an hour and a half.
Bye, guys.